Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Adam, how's it going?
It's going well, Steven. How are you guys?
Drained, but we're here.
I hear you. I hear
How
you.
are you on the missus doing?
Good. So, it's we're still in lockdown, as you said, and you've noticed. But I mean, by the weekend, you couldn't really tell. A lot of people out and about.
Yes.
I mean, we're still a lot of people. I don't know how it is in Atlanta or Philly, but people are. I mean, we're a lot of people still wearing masks here. So even when
Yeah.
you're out and about, even you go to the restaurants, you sit down and you take off your mask to eat. But a lot of people still kind of at least complying to that. But yeah, it's we ate out a couple times this weekend. It was weird, but I guess this is what it is now.
I guess so. I guess so. Well, I'll let you and Chike take it away with movie reviews.
Sure thing. So the movie I saw this weekend was The King of Staten Island, and this is the latest from Judd Apatow, who's famous for the 40-year-old version, Knocked Up, and a lot of other movies. And it follows Pete Davidson as a guy named Scott, who lives on Staten Island, and he's a high school dropout that's kind of been in a state of, I guess, arrested development ever since his father passed away being a firefighter. So his life is going nowhere. He's really doing nothing. He just kind of hangs out and smokes pot all the time. And this movie kind of triggers a lot of things that happened in his life to kind of help him move on and become a new person. So overall, it's a pretty good movie, actually. I was pretty impressed. Judd Apatow does mostly comedies, and I wouldn't even put this on the comedy angle. It definitely has its funny moments, but it's really a drama about kind of just someone coping with, I guess, loss and not having anything to do with their lives and just how they move on. So it was a little long at parts. I think it's over 2 hours, about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I think they could have cut out some of the side stories with like his friends and whatnot. But overall, um, it's a $20 rental, but recommend if you're looking for something new. And I think right now, with the quality of the past few streaming weeks, this is definitely a good change. So I would definitely recommend.
So to piggyback off of Adam, I actually saw that same movie, and Judd Apatow has a way of telling a story that you can relate to with a comedic twist.
Hmm.
If you were a fan of Trainwreck, you'd definitely be a fan of The King of Staten Island because it's basically the same type of DNA. Pete Davidson does an awesome job, and I actually think that it was probably semi-biographical because at the end they do show pictures of him and his father, who was a fireman.
Yeah, so Pete has an interesting history. His father that died on 9/11. He was one of the firefighters that went in and passed away. So it was semi-autobiographical because he did have a lot of depression issues. I mean, he still does, as we've seen, but he had a lot of stuff growing up that was kind of reflected in this movie. So yeah, good point. I mean, it definitely shows.
And I can't tell for certain, but it also seems as if the character may have been on the autistic spectrum slightly. I understand he has mental issues, but it just seemed like maybe he has learning disabilities as well. They didn't really dive into it, but they were talking about like his difficulty in learning, but he also excelled in art. And I know that normally falls true with people that are on the spectrum. It's just what I took from it.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I never noticed, or I didn't notice, and I don't know Pete's personal life besides what I just mentioned. But yeah, that would be a good point. And I mean, Pete does have Crohn's disease in real life as well, and the character in the movie did. So he definitely has a lot of different health issues.
Yeah, thought it was an excellent movie. Definitely worth the early rental fee, and probably one of the, as far as this year is concerned, the best
Hmm.
movies for early release. So I highly
Yeah, it was
recommend.
it was definitely refreshing to find like a good quality movie that just
Yeah,
came out this year.
yeah.
That's like, okay, wow, we're kind of getting back.
But to me, Apatow puts out pretty solid work. He's one of those artists I'm going to gravitate toward whatever he
Hmm.
touches because his track record was so great with me. Anyway, yeah.
Yep.
And just to shout out some trivia, his daughter Maud. is starring in the movie as well. And I remember first seeing all their children. Him and Leslie Mann are married, and they have 3 girls. And I forget which movie it was, but they were all in one movie together when they were really little. And it's nice to see her mature into her craft and become this great actress that she's been.
Yeah.
So it was good to see that.
Nice.
Did you see anything else?
No. As I mentioned, even though against, I guess, better judgment, we did spend some time outside amongst the crowds with our masks. But didn't get a chance to catch anything else.
Okay, so I saw The Five Bloods, which is the new Spike Lee release for Netflix, which stars Chadwick Boseman, Delroy Lindo, Clark Peters, and Isaiah Whitlock, and Norm Lewis and Jonathan Majors. And this film explores the story of the Vietnam War through the eyes of 5 Black soldiers. And of course, Spike does a good job in telling the story of 5 Black soldiers post-Vietnam War. And this movie is kind of like, it's a hybrid where it talks about post-war, but it's also a money heist at the same time, which is pretty interesting. Again, Spike Lee hits you with the history. He hits you with the education. He's hitting all the Spike Lee joint features that he normally features in all his movies. However, for me, the negative is that Spike Lee really isn't an action guy. He doesn't really do action movies. And there are action sequences in this film that left more to be desired for me. They just, especially, and I do believe that Spike Lee is a war buff, and he's also a fan of war films. And I think that he tried to incorporate that feel of a war film, that grainy, gritty look that old-time war films have. That just didn't work for me in watching this film. It kind of separated the action part from the drama part for me. But nevertheless, I still say it's a good movie and it's worth a watch. It's just on those instances for me, I kind of like faded out or faded away from it. But definitely recommend it. There's some gems dropped in there. There's some education, and there's a couple swipes at that guy in the office and our government. So definitely check that out. It's on Netflix. It won't hurt you to watch it. And I'd love to hear what you thought about it. The next thing that I absorbed was not a movie. It was actually F is for Family, the series. They just released the 4th season, which stars Bill Burr, Laura Dern, Mo Collins, Justin Long, and Sam Rockwell. Of course, it's as hilarious as all the other 3 seasons. And they do a great job tackling family dynamics. And this season, Francis, the lead character, his father visits. And Francis is dealing with childhood issues surrounding his father. So they deal with father and son issues in this whole season of the show. And of course, his wife is still pregnant and she's about to give birth to their 4th child, which she actually confronts and makes a true statement that she didn't really want the child, which happens in real life. What do you do when you get pregnant and you really don't want yet another kid and having a family that's struggling? So it's dealing with real dynamics, but it's dealing with it in a funny way. Definitely check it out. Had me in stitches. If you're a fan of Family Guy, you're a fan of American Dad, you'll definitely be a fan of F is for Family. Check that out. And I need Mr. Knight for this one. Adam, you still haven't seen Insecure yet?
No, I'm very behind.
Oh, man, you have to start watching Insecure. You have to start from the beginning.
Okay.
And now that it's off, for a hiatus, I need you to catch up. So then you'll be in tune with us for next year.
What's it on, Hulu?
HBO.
Okay, nice.
So, Mr. Knight.
Man. You called that.
I feel like I'm related to these people. Like, I feel like they're a part of.
You do feel like it. I mean, like, that was like, because, I was kind of had high anxiety this weekend with everything going on. But watching that just brought me, just for 30 minutes, it brought me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you do root for them like you know them. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. So and leading for this season, you know, the best friends, Issa and Molly, were having issues, and they've been tennis balling back and forth with communication and trying to convey to each other how they're really feeling or not.
Yeah.
And they've been dealing with relationships issues outside of each other, to the opposite sex, and also relations to work, and combining work in with all those social situations. And everything came to a head these last 3 episodes, and things were, for me, because I write as well. And shout out to Prentice Penny. You know, he was just a guest on our show. He's a producer and a writer for Insecure. And I don't want to gloat, but to my credit, I kind of predicted where it was going to go. And I kind of tackled it from a writer's standpoint. And where could you take this show that had all these bells and whistles and different aspects? Where could you take it that maybe no one would have seen it going?
Mm-hmm.
And it went where I thought it was.
It went exactly where I said. Chike called that out. Chike said that on last week's show.
Because that's what I would do if I was writing it. That's exactly where I would take it. Let's throw this monkey wrench in the program and see.
Yeah. It was interesting. Miss Parker, she said she figured that was going to happen too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure she probably came to that from a woman's disposition. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Insecure, we're about to give it away. Condola, Preggers. Condola. You have no idea what we're talking about, Adam, and you probably will forget by the time you start watching it.
I hope so.
Yeah. Condola is pregnant.
She's pregnant with Lawrence's baby. And
Lawrence and Issa are they back together? Are they seeing each other? Like, how does that work?
I think they were seeing each other and trying to figure it out, you know, because he might be taking that job out of town.
Yeah.
But they definitely were in each other's good graces. I mean, they're back sleeping together, and
And
so,
Issa decided to not drop Nathan altogether, so he's still in the wings.
Mm-hmm.
He expressed his interest of still wanting to be in her space, with Lawrence being in the picture. So now that Lawrence dropped this bombshell, Nathan is looking pretty good right now with his illness. Like, he's looking pretty good.
That is crazy.
And you know, the whole issue comes up, and I've been hearing a lot of discussion about it as of lately with women. You know, you love a man, he has his first kid with another woman. Is that a deal breaker?
Yeah.
So that question is looming out there in the world. Like, what do you do with that?
Yeah, exactly. So, tough situation. Yeah.
So it's very interesting. It's a very good show. I'm a little sad that it's off the air for the next year, being as though we didn't have it for 2 years,
right?
Because Issa's busy schedule. But from what I hear, they already started filming the 5th season, so we're definitely going to get that on time. It's just that
they start writing it. They were writing it. I don't know if they started filming yet.
No. They started filming.
Oh, they did film?
Yeah, they started filming it, and what they didn't know was what they were going to do as it relates to the coronavirus,
right? If
they were going to tap that into the situation or not.
Yeah, he mentioned that.
We'll see what happens. But definitely check out Insecure. It's a nice half-hour show. It's a nice roller coaster ride. Do not expect for more. They're very adamant. It's a half-hour show. You will not get an hour out of Insecure.
You won't get an hour. No.
You won't get an hour. Maybe, you know, like all HBO's, well, I should say all HBO shows, but most HBO shows, after it's run, we may get an Insecure movie. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. We could lobby for that.
Yep, most definitely.
But definitely check that out. That's the last that I have. I don't have anything else to report on.
Okay, I may be in my 30s, but there's a show, 13 Reasons Why. And I've seen season 1, season 2, and season 3. And it's about a bunch of high schoolers. And then I got an email from Netflix that season 4 was out, and I binge watched that in 2 days. That show is so good.
I have a question to ask you. Why did you preface all of that with "I'm in my 30s"? Why did you say that?
Because, because it is. I think it's age appropriate, but I'm thinking because it's about high schoolers. You know what I mean? That's why I said.
But Adam and I first talked about that during the first season. And we both were unanimous on the fact that is a show that everyone should watch.
Right.
And
Definitely.
parents should watch that show with their children.
Yeah.
Discussion should happen surrounding the subject matter because it's very important.
That's
It's a
very
very
true.
important show, and they don't hold any punches when it comes to certain issues.
Not at all.
I'm glad to see that they're still ticking and they're still going on because it's
I was
important.
trying to think what else y'all gonna do, but it was good. They had a really good storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
keep
nice.
it. And shout out to Selena Gomez because that's her show. She produces that.
Okay.
She brought that to the forefront.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Well, as always, thank you for letting us what to spend our time and now money again on. And have a great week. We'll talk next Monday.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Right back after this.